My name is Chief Michael Goodman. I'm the Chief of Police with the Arthur Police Department. I've been a police officer for almost 30 years. I started actually with the Arthur Police Department in part-time in 1992, I believe. I worked as a part-time police officer, and that was back in the day where you just had to take 40-hour firearms training and get some training with your local department. But in order to become a full-time police officer, I had to attend an academy, and I attended the University of Illinois Police Training Institute. When I was younger, I thought about doing a lot of different things, but I always came back to something in public service. I'd been involved in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and all kinds of civic organizations, and I thought being a police officer was a good way to serve the community that had basically raised me. Back when I first became a police officer, it was just firearms training, and then here's a set of keys, go do police stuff. And now you get all kinds of specialized training for domestic violence, social programs, to assisting people with mental health issues. So that's probably the biggest way that law enforcement has changed, with the amount of training that's required. When you first become a police officer, you're issued, obviously, your sidearm, your duty belt, which contains all of the basically tools that you might need while you're working, as well as your uniforms. About the only thing that we don't provide for police officers are the boots on their feet. The farthest I've traveled while on duty as a police officer, it kind of varies, but I've been on duty to Chicago to investigate crimes. I've been to the St. Louis area to investigate crimes. It all kind of depends on where we have to go in order to pick up individuals on arrest warrants and those kinds of things. I began my career as part-time in Arthur, but my first full-time employment in law enforcement was with the City of Champaign Police Department. So I kind of worked my way back home. It took me a number of years to become Chief of Police in Arthur. Having worked for several other agencies, I had an opportunity to return to the Arthur Police Department in 1994, and by November of 1997, I was selected to become the chief after the former chief retired. Law enforcement has changed me, though. In some ways, I've become a little more cynical. I've become a little bit harder emotionally on some things, because we see all number of things. Sometimes it's the absolute worst day in a person's life, or it could even be a person's death, and those kinds of things change people. You know, I really love the people of this community. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed here for as long as I have and chosen this as my profession, because it gives me an opportunity to meet people and to help people. I love being in the school. I teach DARE throughout the district. That's probably one of the most fun jobs that I have, is imparting information and things to young people. So I've changed in those ways. I think the benefits of being in law enforcement aren't all about the money, because we're not going to get rich in this business, but you get rich in other ways. I feel fulfilled in what I do for a living. I've chosen a profession where I go home at the end of the day with my tank empty. I put it all out there in order to help people or to work through issues and solve problems, and I can't imagine doing anything else. Co-workers often feel like family. I know they do in this department. We sometimes joke that we're a great big dysfunctional family, but you know, we see all kinds and manners of things. Often our humor is a little bit darker, just because we've seen some strange and macabre kinds of things in our line of work. But yeah, I mean, the officers that work with the department are my family, and their wives and children are just extended members of our family. But I think that's kind of true for the village as a whole. It's a small community, and I think we're kind of a tight-knit bunch. Yeah, I think there's always room for reform in law enforcement or any profession. It's all about trying to do a better job. I think law enforcement is an absolute noble profession. I think that serving others is the highest calling, And law enforcement definitely affords someone the opportunity to help others and to help grow communities and to be that person that others lean on in a crisis. So I think, again, law enforcement is one of the absolute noblest professions.